Good morning, everyone. This is our Connecticut Paid Leave Policy and Personnel Committee. Today is Tuesday, April 5th. It is 9:16 a.m. I'd like to welcome everybody and a call to order. Attendance by roll call for Amber.
Thank you, Daryl. All right, Ava Zimmerman.
Present.
Britt Marie Cole Johnson.
Present.
Daryl Dudzinski.
Present.
Paul Potamianos.
Present.
And Mike Soltis. I do not believe Mike has joined us yet, but we have a quorum. Thank you, Daryl.
Excellent. Thank you. Acknowledging any public members for today's meeting. All right. I know we had a correction to the March 1 meeting minutes as far as the time. Any other corrections or concerns with the March 1 meeting minutes?
No, I'll move acceptance as revised.
Thank you, Paul.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ava. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Abstain. Okay, it passes. Next topic is the update regarding the policies posted in the February 22 Connecticut Law Journal for public comment. We'll turn it over to Erin, please.
Good morning. Thank you, Daryl. So we posted the revisions to the consolidated policy document that had been approved for posting by the board, as well as the confidentiality document, which is something that we're going to have our staff sign with regard to making sure that data stays confidential. It's only accessed on an as-needed basis and only for business purposes. After the policies were posted in the Connecticut Law Journal, I did receive a few requests for copies, but I didn't receive any comments from anyone in the public. So there's sort of no request for any sort of revisions. So we are planning on just bringing it to the full board at the April board meeting and asking for full adoption, unless anyone on the committee had any questions or sort of later concerns. Great.
Thank you, Erin. So now it goes to the full board. Will that be the next meeting?
Yes, we'll bring it to the April board meeting.
Excellent. Thank you. Next topic is the discussion on the proposed policies with Michael.
Good morning, everyone. If you don't mind, I'm going to try and share my screen. Amber, are you able to give me permission?
Yeah, okay, Mike. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay.
By the way, this is Mike Soltis. I've been here trying to figure out how to unmute myself, so I'm on my phone.
Thank you, Mike. I'll mark you present.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Mike. So there were two new policies that we want to recommend we bring to the full board for posting and comment at next week's meeting. We can talk about the specific language that I shared yesterday, but I just wanted to kind of do a high-level overview of what the policies were intending to do. The first policy was related to concurrent payments of state or federal benefits. As folks know, our statute says that employees cannot receive compensation under CTPL at the same time that they're concurrently receiving wage replacement under a different state or federal program. We had previously already carved out an exception for benefits that were received not for their own wage replacement, but because of their role as a dependent or beneficiary of someone else who was receiving wage replacement benefits. This would kind of be another recognized exception to that policy. In this case, it would be employees who are receiving benefits from a state or federal program at the same time that they're working. In other words, the benefits are received for something unrelated to their current employment. And then if they need CTPL benefits, is there a way for them to receive both? The law loves three-part tests, so I was happy to be able to build one here for this policy. And the test is essentially designed to make sure that the receipt of those benefits is unrelated to their request for CTPL benefits, both in the event that causes their leave, but then also even their employment that they're taking leave from. So kind of the three parts of the test are trying to establish that those two events are distinct and the benefits are not truly concurrent wage replacement. One test is, are they receiving those benefits while they're working and contributing to the program for at least one calendar of the base period? Second part of that test is, are they actually working and not merely on leave and just waiting to file their benefits for CTPL? And then the third test is essentially making sure that there wasn't some random event in the past that they happen to qualify for benefits, and now for the next year and a half, they get to potentially receive concurrent payments. So it's just really designed to make sure the original benefits were unrelated to their current request for leave. So that's the kind of defined exception, but we also added a kind of more catch-all category that there's a rebuttable presumption that if the state or federal program provides wage replacement and is payable for the same period as the absence, we'll assume that it's concurrent benefits and therefore a potential bar. And it would be up to the employee if they can prove that truly those benefits aren't related. So if there's something we're missing that's not in the one of those two exceptions, this would be an opportunity for that employee to establish that they're unrelated and it's not concurrent wage replacement. The second policy is related to contributions and the cap on contributions tied to the Social Security contribution benefit base limitation. I believe it's around 148,000 per calendar year this year. And we've received this question actually from a couple private plans or other employers. And the policy is designed to say that the cap applies independently for the public program compared to private plans. So, just because you potentially are over the wage limit for a private plan employer doesn't necessarily mean that you wouldn't have to contribute towards a public plan if you have some other employment. Kind of a couple examples we thought that this may come into play would be if there's a single employer who transitions from public to private during the course of the year, or vice versa, or an employee who works for two different employers at the same time. One's covered under the private plan, one's covered under the public program. And then another example would just be employees who changes employers during the calendar year, switches jobs, and one employer happens to be under the private plan, the other under the public plan. I'd be happy, I did a quick overview here. I'd be happy to take any questions about how the policies are intended to work or the reasoning behind them, if there are any.
Can you just elaborate a little bit on the Social Security? So you work for two employers, one is in a private plan, one is under CTPL? Is that what you're saying?
That would be one scenario where that would happen, absolutely. So,
and the combined income from both employers has the cap?
we would look at them independently. So the public plan would only look at your employment with that public employer and the wages received from that towards the cap, towards the public plan. The private plan can just consider the employment from that private employer and keep those caps separately.
All right, so you bifurcate the employers. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, assuming that's a minimal occurrence.
We expect so. And it was, the question kind of came up when we were trying to figure out the refund policy for employees who happen to have two employers under a public plan, and some of the administrative difficulties of establishing that refund policy. And then we thought, okay, when this private plan's involved, it becomes even more complicated. So I felt this is an appropriate solution.
Got it. And I don't know if we talked, or I don't recall, how do we repay those individuals? Is it an offline check? Is it through AFLAC? How does that work?
No, the way that it works is that there's an entire refund system that is built and managed by Dave and his team. If a person thinks that they've overpaid, there's an opportunity to let us know that through the contact us feature of the website. Then there's an employer validation process that there is a personal identification that needs to be provided. All of that is validated.
Okay.
And then once that's done, then payment is issued.
Is it routed back through the employer to the employee, or is it coming straight
No, it
from
goes
CTPL?
directly to the employee.
And how are you providing those funds? Is it a paper check? Is it? electronic?
Right now we're doing ACH and we don't issue paper checks.
Okay,
Yeah.
And
very
that's
good.
actually,
Thank you.
that's a really good question too. So we finalized the policy language for that, the refund, both the employee refund for over contributing and then employers who made a mistake on their contributions. We have the language, but we did want to share it with the Finance and Audit Committee first before bringing it to this group, just so we can make sure we work out any details before sharing with the P&P committee. So we should see that next month at the committee meeting next month.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for the clarification. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions with Michael? Excellent. Thank you, Michael. Next on the update,
Thank you.
private plan audit process with Aaron.
Thank you again. So we're continuing to work through our private plan audit. We have developed sort of, last month we told you kind of the categories of audits that we're working through. We've developed the documents that, or data that we're going to be asking, that we intend to ask private plans to provide, connecting that to sort of what we're testing against and why we want it. And so we're creating the checklists and documentation so that we have standard templates. And then as we finish that, which will be sort of in the next couple of weeks, the other thing we want to do is start seeking willing volunteers to test the tires on this. We would like to work with a variety of existing approved private plan employers to kind of test our hypotheses as to, are these the correct data? Are these the correct sample sizes? Like, what difficulties in developing this did we not foresee? We think that doing this test run before we finalize the policies will help us get better policies. So that's kind of, and the idea here is that it should be a win-win so that the private plan employers can kind of get in on the ground floor of what needs to happen, what we're going to be looking for. It also helps us if we spot any sort of areas of concern to let people get those fixed now, early on, before there's a real problem with their plans, and make sure their employees are okay. And then we'd have a more validated approach that we can then bring back to go through the full policy approval process. So that's kind of where we are right now. Does anyone have any questions? We'd like to again thank Department of Insurance for their amazing and really generous time and help on helping us with this. They've been really great partners.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Quiet group today. Any old business? Any new business? Paul, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
Second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. 9:30. Have a good day, everyone.
It's a record, Daryl.
Bye-bye.
It is. Good job.
Take care.